Welcome back, everyone, to Business Talk, the podcast where business meets health, wellness, and education. We sit down with entrepreneurs and community leaders to bring you real stories, real insight, and real takeaways you can use today. Today, I'm actually joined with Isis and Liz. They're the owners of Lucid Integration LLC. Good morning, ladies. How you doing?
Morning,
Good
morning. We're
morning.
doing pretty good.
Awesome. Good to hear that. So, listeners, before we dive into, we're going to be talking about behind the scenes of websites, what it entails when it comes to SEO, when it comes to when does a business need to look at implementing a website for their business. So, before we go into that, please hit the like button. Feel free to drop a comment, hit the subscribe button, and so you can stay connected to future episodes. So with that being said, let's dive right in. Why is having a website, a professional website, so important for a business?
So hugely important and nowadays. So think about a professional website as in a digital storefront. It's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it's really the first place people go to check if you're legit. And if you don't have one or if it's outdated, somebody loses interest within seconds. So you want to make sure that that's available there for them.
It's kind of like having a business card for your website, right? Or a sign
Yes,
on your front of your business, correct? It kind of gives you that credibility, right?
absolutely, absolutely.
So, are there any type of mistakes that you guys see business owners make when they're trying to build their own website versus hiring someone professionally?
Yeah, it's a tricky thing to try to find out. You got to do your research as to obviously who do you trust to build this particular website. Is your money going to be worth as far as putting into to creating a website, and is if it's going to give you back what you're looking for at the end of the day. And then on the other side of that, we do have customers that obviously want to save money and they build a website on their own. So that process, if you're really technically savvy, you're able to kind of use the tools that those platforms provide you, which is the drag and drop. Um, but then there's a lot of small business owners that are very good at their services, plumber, teaching, so on. But they're not necessarily great with, building a website. So the process becomes then very frustrating because now they've spent hours and it's not looking like they want it to, and it doesn't have all the features that they at the end of the day wanted it to have because they're getting frustrated with understanding that platform's tools and how it works. So so there's two sides of that, and at the end of the day, obviously it's about how much you want to put into it. And for somebody who has very little time, as far as they want to spend their time actually making the money and not doing these things, it's clear that you want to make sure that you have the right person to do that.
That's a very good point, and I think it's like basically stay in your lane, right? If
Yeah,
you're if you're a dentist, do what you do best. If you
absolutely,
like you said, if you're in automotive, do what you do best. But that's why you have different industries doing different things, right, guys?
absolutely. Yeah, that is so true.
So, what is the process like working, with a company like yourself? Are there guidelines? Do you kind of set businesses up with certain ways of going through the process?
Okay. Well, at Lucid, we made the process extremely simple. We broke it down into 4 steps. So, our first step is we actually contact the customer and we want to learn about their business, and we want to know what they want to accomplish, what are their goals, what do they want to see their website show. And then we take all of that information and we design the website and we develop the website based on what we've learned. So that way the customers really don't have to touch anything that has to do with the techie stuff, the codes, or anything like that. The third step, we launch their site, and we usually do it within 2 weeks. And we handle all the technical details in the background. And also the fourth and last step is we provide ongoing support. And we don't just hand them the keys and then we disappear. We like to stick around. We make sure their site is always secure, updated. We also like to make sure that it's performing at the capacity that it can. And we're also always going to be their partner. So they're always able to come back to us and say, hey, we want to update this, or we want to change this on your site.
Answer. Let's talk about artificial intelligence, AI.
Yeah.
That's a big
Yeah.
one, right? It's kind of
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about how that works and implementing or working with your client when it comes to AI for their website.
So that is interesting because, I mean, I've worked with AI. Obviously, nowadays everybody's familiar with ChatGPT, Gemini. There's so many out there nowadays. But one of the things that I've noticed in AI, even in website designs, tools type of thing, is not there yet to be able to tell an AI, hey, I want this website. Because it doesn't know your business. It doesn't know, you have to feed it very specific,
Precise
information. And even at that, it'll give you a version, but it might not have everything that you're looking for because it's just putting something out there. You give it a website, you tell it, hey, it's for a plumbing business, and it'll try to more or less have those things in there. But it's still missing the fact of that personalization, and that you want to make it more human-like, and those aspects, the wording about that. And obviously AI is a computer, essentially software. So you want to make sure that what you're putting out there, verbiage, is human-like, not just kind of putting words out there that, let's say, the normal person doesn't understand. So it is a great tool to have. It does help, but it doesn't 100% complete the job for you, at least not in the website building process.
And let's talk about social media as it pertains to integrating with websites. How does that work?
So as far as like our services, we obviously will link your social media into your website, because again, having Facebook and all these different platforms are great marketing tools to put yourself out there. But we want to make note too that just because you have a Facebook or a TikTok or Instagram and all that, they aren't exactly yours. Those are, somebody else's. It's owned by Facebook. So, and essentially, Facebook could change the rules on how you market your business without even knowing your algorithms. And so what you used to get before, customers directly going to you, are now changed, and now you are getting less. And not only that, but the branding isn't yours, it's Facebook's. So you have less control using social media because you're under, whatever their guidelines and rules are. That's why it's very important for somebody to have that website storefront. It's you that own that website. And one of the things about
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say one thing that we want to let our customers know is we host their websites. They own their domain. So what their domain is, like their name, their business. like Lucid Integrations is owned by us. And we just make sure that it's hosted on our platform, and they're able to customers are able to access any of their domains.
I like that. So as we wrap up here, how can someone tell if their website is actually working for them?
Well, you have to go through some research. As on our end, we have to make sure, like, obviously we have to get some access and be able to get some of the analytics to figure out if they're getting any traffic. We also have to see if they're even set up with Google Business Profile, which is a great free tool that customers have. But they have to be able to go through the process and set that up. So there's definitely some research on the side to do to make sure that we can see if their current website is actually flowing correctly.
And we also test their contact forms and their call to
Yeah.
action buttons, make sure they're all working
Properly?
Yes.
Awesome. Very good. Well, ladies, thank you so much for taking time to talk to our listeners about your business. I think it's so informative. And
Yes.
if you don't mind, could you provide a phone number and a website for our listeners to get a hold of if they have any questions?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Our website is www.lucidintegrations.com, and our phone number is 407-915-4853.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking time to, again, speak with our listeners about your service, and hopefully we can have you back again in the near future.
I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
You're very welcome.